is there more soldiers on the other side of that EMA? Did they go pick up new soldiers? Because, you know, now that it's weak, to kind of give y'all a little background, right? I love trading. I've done trading for a long period of time, and oh, come on, 4:30. Come on. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of After the Trades. Got quite a couple of things I want to kind of break down for all of y'all. All right. First things first. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. And I know everything's powered by Trade Hero. We got a couple of upgrades that's working on, and God, it's just crazy right now what's going on. Just trying to get things fixed. But that said, I just don't want to leave y'all without a dope beat to step to. And that said, look out for the album that's coming out. It's called The Trading Journal. If you are a trader, that album is going to be for fire. All right, folks. And I want y'all to go ahead and get it in all your streaming services. That way you can go ahead and support this channel. That said, I'm going to spend the next 20 to 35 minutes kind of go over some of the things you could be looking at from a leap standpoint, folks. We're talking about long-term investing. This is the one that you really want to know about. Things that we're probably going to be considering holding for the year and kind of line ourselves properly. So I do want to say, I do apologize that the alert system is getting a little bit more upgrades and there's a couple of kinks here and all that good stuff. But the goal behind all of it is for us to bring you nothing but quality, high-end information so that we can make the best decision in your trading career. So the first thing I'm going to go over, let's talk about Eli Lilly. All right. If you don't know this company, I'm telling you this right now, you should know a lot about them. All right. They're the ones that actually makes a lot of the, what's the name of that drug again? It is called Ozempic, one of them things or whatever. And the crazy thing about this one is that I thought it was over. I thought the ride was over. Shout out to Ray J. He put me up on game on Eli Lilly, and I am happy with the results. I think that Eli Lilly, something just like this, can get as high as $1,800 at the rate that it's moving. Now, I want y'all to take it with a grain of salt. When we're doing leap plays and leap opportunities and everything else, we're looking for the position to appreciate over time. So the goal is you want to get a price that's relatively close to this price as possible without going super over. Do not go ahead and be like, well, JD, you said it should get to 1,800, so I took some $3,000 contracts for 2027. Listen, I don't know when this is going to end. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fiduciary. I'm a guy that looks at the charts and I just make things make relative sense. So it's very, very important that you make these notations so that way if it does a certain thing, then you do another certain thing and then you'll get the results. Let me give you an example of that. So if you haven't known much about Eli Lilly or you haven't taken any leaps, let's take this back because this is 2025. This is our end. Let's see what happened as we started to rock out in 2024, right? So I want to go ahead and just take a nice little fib extension here. Oh my God, look at this. We're talking about a ticker that at once in its life, it was $591. So if you had an extra $591, you just parked it over there, you would have got double your money by now. All right. Just to understand how this relatively goes. All right. So just be patient. I'm going to break this down for y'all. So if we look at the whole entire year, right, this is all of 2023. And we're asking ourselves, where can Eli Lilly go in 2024? I love using fibs because fibs is like my friend and it's the greatest tool in itself. Now I put some regular fibs so that way I don't confuse you. And we're going to go ahead and put some negative numbers to understand what that extension can be. right? So let's go ahead and put that there, and let's get that. Let's put this as a negative 0.618, and let's go ahead and put this as a, let's go with negative, one of my favorites. Let's go with negative 127. Let's go with that one, right? So we got a couple of targets right there, right? And if you don't know what Fibonacci is the tendency of, the market kind of moves in natural selection type of atmosphere. They represent a lot of things, from a spiral of a shell, the length of your hand. There's a lot of things. These numbers just tends to repeat when it's all said and done. So assuming that all things are equal, we're assuming how far can this relatively go. So the first candle that comes into play is this month. Well, actually, I didn't put it on month. I've got it on daily. Let's just speed that up a little bit, right? And you can kind of see, we come to the 236. We start to work ourselves out. Where's the first part that it actually takes a level? Look at it. It's very close to that negative 618. So my theory is this, right? As we're going into this next year, are these targets are going to hit, yes or no, right? Are they going to go ahead and aim for that 1800 or that 1900? It's very possible. Let's go ahead and kind of see how this goes. And we're trying to see where can we get the best price. Look how flush it goes through our 618. And the next target that it's going to try to get to is that 1037. But it needed a retracement. Why? Because people down here are going to start to take their profits. That's why we always tell you, don't just buy a green candle because it's green. You got to at least wait for the market to come back so that way it can come back and pick you up. Wait for your price and your price will come back, right? Look at this. Look at where it stops. And I know y'all, their first reaction is, well, Jeffrey, you already looked at this and you already know how the numbers is going to go ahead and this. I don't know every chart. This is just proper fundamentals. I took what last year did, which was 2023. I'm anticipating if it does it, then I'll be happy. If it doesn't, then I'll just go ahead and leave it alone. But at the end of the day, it broke out of the high. It went to the negative 618. I would love for it to get to the negative 127. Looks like we are at May of 2025 and still haven't got there. After being all the way here in October of 2023 as a high, doesn't guarantee anything. But if you plan properly, you'll be able to reap the benefits. And those that actually were patient with it, maybe they rolled their contracts, gone to 2026, 2025. Look, it came back and retested all the way here, but it didn't stay. Where did it go? Right back to the 618, right back to that. These are the actions that we're looking for. So that said, if I'm looking for a good spot, knowing that this year is over on a ticker like Eli Lilly, I already know its lowest point is down here. I already know its highest point is over here. I already know the year is over. I already know we got a pin bar right here. These actions are letting me know that there's probably some opportunity here. Look at this level. Was I a little aggressive? Yeah, I was a little aggressive on the other ones, but I'd still like that 1800 on Eli Lilly if all things stays equal. If we look at this, this looks like a bull flag breaking out just off of this candle. Could we get there? Could we get all the way to here? If you don't know what bull flags is, I do suggest that you go ahead and hit me up on a DM. I could do a whole entire one-on-one class with you, or you could come to one of my free classes as well. Look at that. That measure move brings us right to the 618. Does the economy go into a recession? That would nullify everything here. Does the economy continue where it's going? Well, the way gold is moving, I won't be surprised it continues that way. So a ticker like Eli Lilly could be a good investment if you could find a real sound entry. I suggest come down to like a weekly or a daily, find a good entry, find a contract that you feel like you can afford in the budget. Try not to go past $1,800 and you should be fine. All right, let's speed this up. Now that you kind of get a synopsis of how I'm going to be doing things and kind of breaking all this stuff down for y'all. And like I said, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I'm telling you, I got a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out between alerts, between mindset, between everything. Now that I kind of have my firm footing on everything that I wanted to do, don't forget the album. Album's coming soon, January 1st. All right, let's go ahead and keep this going. I got Carvana. Now, the reason why I'm putting Carvana on this list, I am going to give you the two levels I'm looking at. I'm looking at $1,000 Carvana. If all things stays equal, you already remember, this was Carvana here. They made a major move to this upside into the fraud. Then they cleaned up the fraud. Then they made another move right here. There's no more fraud. This is a bull flag. Does it continue here? Does it continue here? Could it get all the way up to here? Very, very possible. And that's what we are looking for. Now, I'm hesitant on Carvana only because the car industry, from a fundamental standpoint, and this is why when you're doing leaps, you got to look at the fundamentals. Does the engine sound like it's good? I'm about to take this thing on a test drive. I know the metaphor is coming in, and it's very ironic, but there's no pun intended there, right? Is the engine knocking? Does it blow out smoke out the back? I do feel like this is a little bit of a blow off top. Does it look like a bull flag? Absolutely. If it holds this level at $316, maybe even as low as $277, I will consider taking this with a leap contract of $1,000 up into 2027, 2028. That's just the economy doing what it's supposed to do. Is it guaranteed? No, it's not. But I am looking for Carvana to do something along the lines of that. All right, let's get another one. Let's get something in the semiconductor space, because we kind of went with healthcare. We went to, that was that consumer discretionary, I think that would be. And then now let's go ahead and get into some of these semis. AVGO. If you don't know who AVGO, that is the company, and I think we took a couple plays on this one too. But AVGO is the company that actually makes the modem inside of your phone. So if you got 5G on your phone, if it wasn't for Broadcom, you wouldn't even know what type of data would come in. It's just nothing but pure phone calls. All right. So AVGO at this point, oh, I didn't even notice there's a nice little kick that happened here. That is very interesting. Hold on. Let's pause for a second. I want to see what happened. I know that's Liberation Day, but I did not expect it to just kick up like that in the transition of a month too. Yeah, that first made a gap in the month. Hold on. Let's go ahead and bring it down to a 4 hour. I want some extended hours. That's interesting. Okay, I'm not saying that all gaps fill. All right. Shout out to Bucky. Bucky always the win. You're like, listen, at the end of the day, all gaps fill. When it fills, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, usually gaps fill. So I'm looking at this for this April. Is that May? Is that the May 1st? Okay, so we closed here at 192, right? Pre-market, they just pushed this bad boy all the way up. And then when we opened that next day, we never revisited. There are some buyers that did not have an opportunity to purchase at 192 and 195. This signals to me that the people that bought at 197 and lower are still, 192 and lower are still in it. This tells me whatever dark pool that filled this order is relatively still in it. So if they're in it, how far are they willing to go with it? So let's just go ahead and keep on dragging this. We got July, we got September, and we got ourselves. Now we're in November. Okay, ooh, maybe they took some of the profits here. Got a nice little M pattern that's happening here. This is going to be interesting. All right, so let's do it like this. I still want to give y'all a high number, and I still want to give y'all a low number. I don't want to take that away. This is our lowest point. Yeah, that's our lowest point. All right, so let's go ahead and throw some fibs on it. All right, got that. Let me get one of my templates. This is what I call my extension. Let's get that. All right, cool. So at the very least, can it come back to 276? Yes. Can this month is engulfing this month, right? But we already know that a lot of semiconductors is going to be required, so that way we can be able to do what we have to do with AI or evolution and all that stuff. And especially, they're taking a lot of jobs from people. All right. So companies like Broadcom is going to be important for mobile broadband connectivity. Hence the reason why they call themselves Broadcom. If there's any place that would need it out of all, you already know some of the Teslas, they already have 4G vehicles, right? But they don't need faster data for all the cars to kind of talk to each other. So a company like Broadcom is going to be very important for a fundamental standpoint. Again, do your research, This is just me bouncing off an idea. My ideology is not fiduciary financial advice. I'm just telling you, do some research, because if cars are going to talk to each other, and that means they're going to need to talk to each other and control the vehicle if we're going to go straight Minority Report. If you don't know what Minority Report, I understand. I'm a geek. I apologize. But if we look at this, what would be a level if it holds this bounce? We're talking about 829 Broadcom. 829, 830, somewhere around that ballpark in the middle of 2026, 27. If 26 is our pullback year, maybe even 28, very possible, but it cannot break 276. I would say if you could get a price on a good contract for those 830s, somewhere around the price of 276. Let's just say we get another January where we kind of pull it back a little bit and it comes down to 276, maybe 280, maybe even 300, psychological 300, somewhere around there. I would get some 20, 27, 830 calls. And as long as this level holds, I'll hold on to them. If it fails, boom, there's your uncle. Let me take my premium off the table. I just wanted to see if I could actually make something. That's what that looks like to me. And we'll see how that goes. How much time do I have? I think I covered 19 minutes. All right, so I'm going to give you another 10 more minutes. Let me go ahead and grab my screener. Let's see how this looks. Let me give y'all... I want to do Amazon. You know what? Amazon and Amazon, Nvidia, Palantir, and Royal Caribbean just for giggles. So let me write this down. Amazon, Royal Caribbean, Nvidia, and PLTR. Let's look at those, because I think something like Palantir will need a little bit of a pullback, but because of their government contracts, that might just not ever show up. Okay, just keep that in mind for all my Palantir bulls. Do not come for me. I'm not saying it's coming down. I'm just saying it's just a little spicy, a little hot. So I don't know if I want to get in that one. All right, so Amazon, another one. Now, what makes Amazon's level here that I find very interesting is the fact that we had a lot of struggle getting through that 200 level. If y'all remember, this was after Liberation Day. It didn't really bounce. May and June, it kept on playing around this area like it was not going to break 200. Now, if you don't know what Amazon does, just to let you know, it's a conglomerate. It has AWS. This is like their breadwinner. They also outsource a lot of their Paramount stuff for MGM. So that's a lot of movie stuff. Now they're getting into healthcare, which is still insane, because I could have sworn that, what was that doggone site? Doc IQ, whatever, that mobile doc thing or whatever. I guess they got some version of that. So they're putting their hands in everything. Again, when you're a jack of all trades, you might not be a master of any, but they're doing relatively well. So we're going to see how this goes. But I wonder if investors are having doubt because of where they're deploying their cash. So keep an eye on Amazon 210 level. Where can they go to the top side? If it holds and everything stays equal, we're talking about $400 Amazon. Now, if you don't remember, Amazon split from like $2,000 and now it's recovering where it's above $200. Shareholders are happy. So I think there's a lot of investors that are still in it, and they were quick to stay in it. When did they do that split? They did that split back here. Yeah, 20 to 1. It was at 100. Yeah, I think it was like $2,000, right? So $400 Amazon at that degree, plus the fact that we're getting really, really deep into technology. It's mostly a tech company. I could see even now getting the $400 cost for 2026, as long as that level holds, won't be that bad, because we're so close to what the entry would be relative. Anything close to $200 would be great. All right, let's keep this moving. RCL, Royal Caribbean. Now, this one I'm throwing in as a Molotov cocktail. The reason why I like this one is because they are the better version. Let me get rid of this. So I had this locked. There we go. This is the better version of most of the stuff that's in the cruise lines. I love their company. I love the way they structure themselves. And if you look at the EPS, they actually return money to shareholders that is healthy. Hence the reason why the price is the way it is. CCL, on the other hand, is $20 for a reason. 30 cents? Yeah, we're not friends. So when we look at a company like RCL, this is the one that is going to raise the tide as well. When it comes down to some of these companies, RCL, Norwegian Cruise Lines, and all of them. But right now we came back to 241. If you know anything about cruise lines, right now is not the best time to invest in cruise lines. It's usually towards the spring. Now that we got out of Christmas and we're going into New Year's, we're going to end winter. So before winter is over, take a look at that 265 level, maybe even psychological 250, and that could be a good little spot for you to get into it. What type of contract would I choose for a strong leap? It would be 670 for Royal Caribbean. Since it's close to the entry, I won't be surprised if you nibble a little bit. Actually, I wonder, what would the price of that contract look like, out of curiosity? I can see all obstacles in my way. All right, we got 28 contracts already. Never mind. Let's go ahead and push a little further out. I got you. I got ya. So it only caps out at 420. Gonna be kind of tough to. Okay, actually, I take that back. Hold on. Caps out at 500, right? Assuming that all things are equal. Let me see. Did any volume come in today? No volume came in today. Let me find one that has some good volume. Actually, it's 53 here. All right. Let me grab this chart, and I'm going to do that weekly. Monthly. Yeah, better. Back to weekly. Let's do that one. So if we look at this chart right here, right? This is the option change chart for Royal Caribbean $400 calls. These contracts are going for $1,900. If you have a margin account, I would say do it in a spread. That kind of protects you, and you probably can get it more towards your budget. But for those that are able, it's going to cost you about a little under $2,000, right? If we notice, this contract came in and it was at 3,200, and the pullback that we've been dealing with from the month, right? This pullback has been the reason why this contract has been dropping from that 3,200 to $2,000. If we are correct and this is the pullback and the pullback is over and we're going to do a golden zone bounce, the dividends paid? Dividends paid already. Okay, right? This could be a nice little entry at $2,000. I know it's a little pricey. And also, this is going to be something that you're going to have to let cook. You buy it, you park it, you don't see it, at least not until June. Set an alert. If it gets under 241, consider taking your money off the table. It might go from $2,000 to like 500, maybe even $1,400. But that's okay, because you risk 600. Because if this bad boy gets to $500, because I'm targeting 670, that's a happy payday. Okay, all right. Kind of gave y'all a little one-on-one on that one. If y'all want one-on-ones, by all means, DM me, JD_the_great on Instagram. DM me on Discord. I'll send you all the details. And we can have ourselves some fun. All right, this is NVIDIA. Same exercise. Let's see what we got. This is the bottom of the year, Liberation Day. This is our pullback over here. We're talking about $148 NVIDIA. I don't think we get that low. NVIDIA is just way too valuable. People are buying up the dips every time they can get a chance. If the rumors that there are a bubble for the AI, then you might get that. But again, it'll be the rumor. It comes down. And even those that are probably doubting it, it will bounce at 150. So please, before I show you this target, I want you to wait for it to get as close to 150 as possible. If you do want to take the chance, make sure it's money that you don't mind deploying in the event that it gets down there, because we're not trying to get out unless it gets under 134. If you get in now, we're talking about if the contract's 2,000, it just this move by itself, it could drop down to like close to $1,000. You're losing $1,000 just because you can't wait. And plus, it's a green candle for the month. In 25 minutes, this this month is over. You're buying green to sell green later. That's counterintuitive. Now, if you told me November you're going to take the chance, you're going to buy it here, yeah, you got yourself a little bit of a cushion. That's a different conversation. But right now, it's not the best situation. So I would say for this one, be patient. Maybe if it breaks a whole 200, if you want to be a little risky, maybe. But that can give you even more trouble, because I think 200 is going to be a tough psychological level for it to hold. They already did their split, 10-1 back here. So I think there's going to be some profit taken. What level are we going to be looking for? $400 NVIDIA. $400 NVIDIA. I know. Crazy, right? Who would have thought a company that almost got to like 86, I think its lowest was like $86, $90. Yeah, right after the split, we got to 88 and $86.62. Crazy, crazy. I know. It's just amazing. So let's see. What type of contract? Yeah, so 420 is its highest. I thought it would at least go to 500. All right, so let's go with 400 calls. Let me see if there's any volume over here. Oh my God, there's so much volume. Actually, there's 19,000 contracts already out there. Okay, let me repeat that for y'all. There is 19 open contracts at a $400 level. Somebody knows something, or somebody's preparing for something. Are they right? That's a whole nother conversation, but we'll leave that there. This contract came in. It came in at 1,900. The pullback that happened brought us all the way down to 1,000, and it pushed up to 1,300. We're probably going to see NVIDIA try to recapture this area, and that's going to go ahead and give you those strides. It gets to 4,000, folks. You're talking about a contract that can go from 1,000 to like $5,000, $3,000, somewhere around that ballpark. Okay, so look for $400 NVIDIA call contracts on leaps. It breaks this level, run. The closer it gets to the level, the better the $400 contract. So pick your poison. Let's continue. We got Palantir. Palantir, this is going to be the last one that I break down for y'all. I want to say thank y'all for participating. A lot of the stuff that I do it off of almost borderline sheer selfishness, because I just love looking at charts. But y'all make it so much fun for me to break it down for y'all, and I appreciate every one of y'all that chimes in. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share it to your friends and family. That way they know I bring in some information. That is not Palantir. That is Platinum. Palantir. All right, let's get rid of these lines. Palantir, 2025, Liberation Day. Oh, we went lower in the middle. Oh, wow. I did not know that. January was actually lower. That's Palantir. Another one, very similar to like NVIDIA. I don't think it breaks 135. I think there is a lot of people sitting on the sidelines that they can't wait to get into Palantir. Hence the reason why we got to the psychological 150. I'm going to draw this level right here so that way you can see it. 147.56. I know it didn't hit 150 and just bounce. The market does not care about your feelings. They will sweep lower when they feel like it. It's just the reaction that they do when it touches the level, and it looks like they swept as low as they can to fill the orders. And that's why I got to 147. But you can see, ever since 147, it went to 173, as high as 200 after that. So how can he plan for this? I would say 150 would be the best time. 147 being retested would make me question that there could be some problems. But I would love to see a reversal candle as close to 135 as possible. What would be my target? Let's see. $423 Palantir. Wowzers. That would be crazy. crazy. I know some people that's been in Palantir since it was like 20 bucks, 30 bucks. They would be happy. All right, so let's go ahead and check it out. Palantir. All the way in 2028, $400 calls, has not a lot of open interest. Not like NVIDIA, only 2,000. But that's still relatively solid. But I would say this is a little bit, because it's at 178. It's a lot closer than what NVIDIA is. NVIDIA is like around 148. So this one's going to be a little bit pricier. If it gets closer to 135, I probably would be happy to do that one. But I don't think we're going to get there. Look for 147.56 to not fail. Don't get under it. All the bears that steps in thinking the party is cute, thinking that, oh my God, this is the trend line that we're going to operate for the rest of 2026. Look for that to fail. It breaks out of that pivot from there. Then you're going to see this thing print something vicious. But it got to show reversal. And somewhere between 177 and 147 before I take that anywhere near serious. All right. That said, I know there's a lot that y'all might have questions on. And I would love for me to break down a little bit later for y'all. But we were working very diligently to get a lot of this stuff resolved. I want to say thank y'all again. Look out for the album. Album's coming very soon. Helps traders in their mindset. And I will bid you a fond farewell until next year. Yes, I get to say it, right? I will see y'all. Have a great and wonderful, wonderful Happy New Year. Bye-bye, everyone.